This is a 1974 Volkswagen Super Beetle. I bought this car 3 months ago. If you're not subscribed and up to date, let's have a chat. This car looked mint. Sure, it had some minor issues, but nothing major that we could see. It was all covered in sound deadener on the inside and bed liner all throughout the wheel wells. The moment we got it in the air when we got it home, we noticed a few issues. With the car being mostly mint, we didn't really want to touch much. We just wanted to use it for a bit, enjoy the car. But as we poked around, I found more and more issues. So with summer fast approaching, I decided to rip it apart and do the little bit of repairs that it needed. Of course, as we ripped it apart, it got worse and worse. So after installing new pans, we have moved on to new heater channels. While installing the new heater channels, we noticed the firewall didn't look so great. So we got a new firewall. Yeah, it's been messy, but we're having fun and we're hopefully getting to install the passenger heater channel and front firewall today.
They'll make it fit. Alright, it's Saturday morning. Somebody's pulling in here with a Bronco. Not sure who it is. Dad's supposed to come over, so maybe he's driving a Bronco. Getting back to the firewall, heater channels. Get this thing back in working shape. My dog's going crazy because my dad's here. Go get him, Tiger. So yeah, as we chatted before, we've had a bunch of trouble on the firewall, getting the firewall to sit correctly and the heater channel back in on the right side. So hopefully we can get it settled in today, weld the firewall in place and the heater channel back in so that we can start tackling the driver's side heater channel, but we'll see. You're gonna like these. Why don't we do this? Stick inside here.
See this shape here? It's not the same as this shape here.
Yeah, anyways, we can use what we got to use then.
What are we doing today?
I would like to get that firewall in and maybe this heater channel on if we can.
2 hours?
Solid 2 hours, yeah.
Alright.
I ordered new plates for the bug for next year.
Meet Dave. This is Dave's Beetle. It's everything I want mine to be.
Don't do it.
Dave's a bit of a wild man, so you get some sort of reference on the conversation ahead.
What?
Okay.
License
Ready
plate?
for this one? Yeah, ready for this one?
Okay.
The only reason why I ordered is because my buddy says there's no way you're getting them. So far so good. Start over again. It does mean NO, but NROM for HOS. No room for hose.
There's no way they'll give it to you.
It's already gone through. Like, I'm like, they didn't deny it right away, but they still have time to say no.
Oh my.
Said, what's the meaning? I'm like, it's my car's name.
That's gonna be funny.
Yeah.
And how much are they now?
Fuck, 310.
Yeah.
Holy moly, really?
So the firewall is too thick. It doesn't, we tried to line it up on the body and it's too thick. It's a lot thicker than the old one. So we're not sure if this is the right firewall. We did just get that 75 body and it has the exact same firewall that's on that came when we ordered it for this car, so it's kind of confusing. Not unless CIP messed up, but nothing's lining up properly. It seems like the firewall's too thick and it's pushing the heater channel in wrong directions here, so yeah, firewall might be wrong in my eyes. I think I should look on CIP and see if it's...
It says 71 to 79.
It says it right on the sticker. That's why I pointed it out like 5 times.
But it's
At this point, the heater channel seemed too long. With
It's
the
just
heater
not-
channel bolted in place to the pan, there wasn't enough room for the firewall to properly sit on the top hat and bolt up to the bolt holes.
Oh yeah. Giant gap on the one side of the tunnel. It sits great on the tunnel, everything without that heater channel in place.
yeah.
So is it the heater channel that's the problem, not the firewall? But everything says to me it's the firewall that's the problem.
It's looking to me like it's a firewall.
If I can go outside and that's the same design Firewall, it's in the 75, but it wasn't the same design we pulled out of this car. The one we pulled out of this car was a much boxier and skinnier. This one seems to be a lot wider, and it's just not lining up proper at all. Well, that's what I would assume, right? Nothing's lining up, nothing's bolting up, so I'm going to assume that the parts aren't that great. But we did order the best parts we could, in my eyes. Not the cheapest, not the most expensive, but like everything's Dansk. And
instead of talking about it, we decided we already had the firewall and heater channels, so let's just make it work. Our theory is always basically the same. We have a welder, we can make it work. In order for the bolt holes in the pan to align to the heater channel, and the heater channel to align with the firewall, and the firewall to align with the top hat, it was looking like all we had to do was cut roughly 1 inch off the top side of the heater channel. Once the heater channel was trimmed, it allowed the firewall to sit correctly on the top hat, and everything would line up like it should.
my head's like... Yeah, it looks pretty good.
You cannot get it to line up.
If we didn't test fit it, it would be, look, absolute hell.
So if I screw this one in,
the other hole's just completely out to lunch. Good stuff.
this one's way worse. Look at this one.
So this is why. Just reminds me of Mr. Deeds, that guy off Mr. Deeds. Looks great, boss. Huh. So that's why we have to cut the firewall, or cut the heater channels, because nothing's lining up. CIP1 has.
This is junk.
Yep. Yet they've disappointed us yet again. Why do we have to cut the firewall?
In order for these bolts to line up?
Because it's too cross-eyed.
Well, you're never gonna get that one in there.
The IP ones, like, automatically they know anyone who's receiving these parts has a welder and a grinder, so they're like, just make it close and they'll figure it out. What is going on? That's the question.
They'll slide this way, but they won't slide this way.
And you know what? I bet you 95% other people, like most other people, have no issues. We're just the guys who do it on YouTube and have every issue in the world.
Every time we lift this car, it scares me. The body could get forced out of position and possibly pop a window. You just never know. We've done everything we can to make sure that doesn't happen, but the rest is left up to chance. We needed to lift the body up and remove the stands. Then we could slide the pan underneath the body, and with the new firewall and heater channel finally lining up the way they're supposed to, we wanted to test fit everything before welding it solid in place. So we bolted everything up, and we set the body down on top to see where it all lines up.
Yeah, so after a lot of oblonging a lot of these holes and trying to make it work, because none of these CIP1 parts line up properly as they should, thanks CIP1, Dad's pretty happy with all you guys. So
Blame Dad.
we're trying to put the body down on top of it now to get the least firewall and one heater channel in place. Fingers crossed. Nothing's working out as it should though, so.
Although the car sits down fairly easy in its natural position, aligning all the bolts on these cars front to back can be tricky. There's 2 main bolts at the rear and 4 main bolts at the front, plus a dozen in between that all have to line up to the body. It can take tons of little tweaks and movements just to get it sitting right. And like I said, I wanted to make sure everything was right before actually welding it all in place.
Yeah, as of right now, it is not fitting the best. But what does on this car, right, Dad?
Nothing.
Right, nothing. But we'll make it work.
Try setting it down.
Which end?
Front.
Front. Do you want me to lift it back up?
Nope.
Nope. Just cut it like that.
We kept seeing little spots where the body would get caught up while trying to drop down onto the pan. Even the inner fenders aren't the same shape as the new ones that are going in. So I'm actually gonna gain some leg room by installing the new wheel well bottoms and heater channels.
It's still gotta come down though, right? Or no?
Oh yeah. It's like it's got to come down another
I have no
inch.
Yeah, we're out to lunch on that side. So we're trying to set the car down on top of the firewall and the heater channel type thing on top of the new pan. But it keeps getting caught on something, different things throughout. So now it's onto something else. So we'll figure that out in a minute. But it's caught up on something. So we're not able to drop the front end completely down yet. But once we do, hopefully we can just weld it back in place. Sounds so easy, but just trying to stay positive because one of us has to. So now it's getting stuck on the rear end of the heater channel. So we have to kind of take a little bit out of the heater channel to allow it just to drop down that last ½ inch and get it settled into place here, because the front's pretty much dropping down into place, but the back is still having a hard time. Crazy how much you got to lift and move and wiggle, but we'll get it.
That's pretty close. We're still out a solid half.
Okay, let me see. Yeah, it's much closer than the other. Well, the other side is up a little bit too, but... Okay, so we finally got the body to sit on the pan correctly. Well, kind of correctly. We're just marking everything, then we're going to pull it back off and clean the body up where we're going to have to weld the heater channel and firewall to. Then, finally, we'll be able to put the body back onto the pan and weld the heater channel and firewall in place. Then we're done. The passenger side done, but at least it's in place. Passenger side and firewall. And then we've still got the driver's side left to do.
Time to remove the body again and clean everything up before welding. We had to make sure the patch we repaired on the spare tire holder was all cleaned up before welding the firewall in place. If we didn't do this, we wouldn't be able to access it once the firewall is actually welded in place.
So as you can see behind me, we just left the stands out and decided if it's kind of easier to work on where it floats there, we can climb underneath it easier, and it is what it is. So we're just going to let it float there while we clean it all up and get it ready to put the pan back underneath so we can weld the firewall and the heater channel back in place. It's been a lot of moving and test fitting and trying to get it work, so hopefully this is the last time we have to slide the pan underneath and mess around with it, but it is what it is.
With the area prepped and a few little spots repaired along the way, we were finally ready to drop the firewall in its new home on the body and get it welded solid. After test fitting it so many times, we had the firewall marked so we knew exactly where to put it on the body side of things. Before welding the firewall in place, we were able to get some self-tapping screws in from the backside through the mounts. This allowed us to keep it in the exact same spot we needed so that we could weld it without actually holding it in place.
What does that tube do? More drama for the day, but the firewall is roughly put in place and we forgot to drill a hole on the top of the firewall for the hole in the hood. There's a tube that kind of goes down underneath the dash and runs beyond the firewall, but the top of the firewall needs like an oval hole in it to accept the tube, and we forgot to add that to this one because it didn't come with it because it's not the right firewall. It's gonna work, but now we gotta take it back out.
How are we gonna go around that? We can do this and this, but how are we gonna go around it? drilling, drill holes.
Ooh, I got it. I got it. Do this one. Do this one. Do a diagonal one, and then do a diagonal one, and then we bend it up
That
and
sounds
cut
like
it.
that sounds like it's a. Hold on to this.
Yeah, you get me.
Are you holding on to it?
Yeah, I know.
It's like you got Parkinson's.
Go.
With the hole now cut in the top of the firewall to receive the drip tube, we could finally get the firewall back into position and weld it in place.
Ready? All right, firewall is tacked in place, and hopefully it's there to stay. The hole has been cut up top for that little drainage tube, and yeah, another day deep, and we still don't have that heater channel in place. No, but we'll get there. Almost there. We just got called in for dinner. What's dinner today? Pasta and chicken. How do you feel? You think we got the fireplace or the firewall in good?
After dinner, we'll get it in better.
Well, I think it's in a good position.
It's in good position.
I mean, it needs to be welded in a lot more, but... So nothing is really going our way with this thing. It's just nothing's really fitting up. It seems like everything we've ordered from CIP is just not lining up correctly. I'm assuming at this point something was labeled incorrectly, because we've had to cut a lot of things to make it work, and yeah, it's just been a lot of work to actually make this fit and to make it work. And just like Dad says, it shouldn't be this much work, but it is, and it's fine. But I mean, it is what it is, right? Just keep going. But at least we've got the firewall mocked up now, and we can get back to that heater channel, because I just want to get the heater channel locked in place today, hopefully. Fingers crossed. But yeah, it's dinner time. Pasta and chicken, eh? Yep, thank you. The what? Oh, one sec.
Look where it goes. So it goes outside by the heater channel.
That it does.
Yeah.
So we got to peel some of that back.
Lots of it back.
All right. Well, on YouTube they say use heat.
Yeah.
How do you feel about
Use
that?
heat. Look.
And what happened?
It didn't work. It just turned to tar.
And smokes everywhere.
That too.
It's great. Forgot to press record. That's the first time I've done that in here. So we are in the car right now, and we're trying to set that heater channel in place, but it's not going up all the way. So what we're having to do is clean up all that sound deadener in the back by the wheel well. That basic wing piece that goes up and over the tunnel. Both sides were rotten, so we knew we had to replace them, but we weren't planning on cutting them out right now. We wanted to get that heater channel back in place ASAP type thing, so we weren't thinking of this piece, but it looks like it has to kind of be at least cut out before we can put the heater channel in, and then we can figure out what we want to do from there moving forward. So yeah, back from dinner, and we're gonna cut this out.
We needed to get rid of all the rotten spots and make a nice hole for our patch panel to sit in. We're trying only to take out what we have to and not go overboard. So we will cut our patch to fit this spot.
After a long battle trying to get that corner to fit in properly and actually seat up in there, we are tacking it in place right now. Doesn't quite fit perfect, but we will make it fit perfect. It was pretty tricky to sneak in there, so that's why I didn't even film much of it. I was busy trying just to wedge it in there and get it as tight as we can, but we have a bit of a gap at the back. We'll make it work.
Because it's not fitting.
It's not going to, because we don't have...
Keep getting this car cut more and more and more and more and more.
That's the problem. As you can tell, this corner was pretty rotten, so we had to cut out more than was there, so we're gonna have to remake the corner. And then there's also a little strip here that we're gonna have to remake on the top side, but... Yep. But we took out majority of the, well, all of the rot there. Yep. So that's fun. But we're just getting this corner back into place so that we can get that heater channel back on. And then, yeah. Firewall's already been tacked in. We need the heater channel tacked in. We've got this corner roughly kind of tacked in. What time is it?
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock already?
Yeah.
What time do we have dinner at? 8?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay, well that
7.
That makes sense then. Yeah, 10 o'clock. Not cool. At least we checked the time this time. Because another hour could have easily gone by before I checked the time.
Yep.
So... last time it surprised us and all of a sudden it was midnight, so...
We got this far, so why not get the heater channel actually sitting up in place and see how it looks?
Doesn't fit the way you thought it would. It's like it's got to go back, but it's on the firewall at the front. These lines that Dad drew aren't quite in the right spot. There's one right here that should be this way. Nothing lines up. Nothing. Nothing is quite correct with this. Every time it comes down to this, 11 o'clock at night, and we don't know what to say. But I mean, at least like the next day comes and we have progression.
Do we?
Every time.
Do we?
We might not, like we might have made it worse this entire time, but it looks much better. I will give you that. Looks way better, but it's still not, like it's an inch off, I'd say, at least. Same with the pans. When we had this problem with the pans too, it was like an inch off, and it's the biggest deal in the world.
After cutting the heater channels so they would match the firewall and the pan, now they're technically too short on the body. They don't quite touch the ends near the rear. So unfortunately, I have a lot of metal work to do on this car to get it straightened out and proper. But as we continue to keep saying, we have a welder, we can make it work.
Throwing hundreds in the holy water, just a backseat driver flying undercover. A nice suit and a family.
Overall, Dad, not happy with the day.
No. Not.
It is what it is. Hey, sitting back here, like I said, it looks way better because that heater channel's on. You know, new pans are in. That heater channel's on. Firewall is tacked in place. That back corner piece is tacked in place. So like, hey, there's progression, right? We're seeing something, but yeah, not in a hurry, that's for sure. Nothing fits right. Nothing's going easy. Got this back corner piece welded in, just tacked in for now, and then the heater channels lined up. But what I find really funny is the heater channels on the car. When we line them up on the pan itself and bolt them to the pan, we bolt the firewall in place. The heater channels were an inch long, Dad?
3/4 of an inch.
3/4 of an inch, and we had to cut 3/4 of an inch off the heater channel to make it actually work and bolt up on the pan. Now when it comes to the car, because we've separated all that now and we're trying to put it on the car, when we go to line everything up on the car, it comes up 3/4 of an inch short on the heater channel on the car side. So something's not right, whether it's, you know, firewall, heater channel, and that corner piece are all a little bit off, and it's kind of like messing with us as a whole. Everything together is working out to be 1/2 inch off, or these parts are just not the right parts, or the manufacturer hasn't made a very tight spec on them. I got no answers as of right now, but nothing's working very nice. There's like this little tray that holds your carpet in, and it sits along the heater channel. Well, on this side here, it barely fits, and on the other side it looks like a welded in strip, and it is in a much different position. So everything's got to be accounted for, but it's not going that great, that's for sure. What did you learn by measuring?
The door openings aren't the same size. That's always good.
Why were they to start?
Yep.
Dom dom dom. Why would they have moved?
Probably the bashing and smashing and crashing
But it's welded.
you have done.
And it's welded.
It's only an eighth, not even an eighth.
It was like that already, because there's a half inch. Well, there's an eighth of Bondo right here to make that edge.
That's more than an eighth.
We haven't even really shown off the Bondo part of the car yet.
No, maybe we shouldn't.
I'll have to get into that.
Maybe not. Maybe that's not such a good thing. I mean, really, at this point, everything could be cleaned off of that, and it could be rolled underneath right now.
Yeah. I don't know, it's like a gremlin here that we're not sure what's going on, because that, like I said, the heater channels on the pan match up fine now, but now on the body they're 3/4 of an inch or 1/2 inch short. I got no answers for that right now, and it's one of those things where it's like 11 o'clock at night again, and we're just cleaning up, calling it quits, because yeah, we're not gonna get it done tonight anyways. So yeah, another day. What's going on, guys? I'm in the shop. It's Sunday night, and I figured, you know, can't sleep, so why not weld this heater channel in place. I can take the vice grips off and then get the pan underneath and see how it actually lines up. We didn't really have a lot of success yesterday, but we did get to line everything up. We did get the heater channel mocked up, we did get the firewall tacked in place, and then that rear piece tacked in place. But right now I figured, why not? It's 12:06 on Monday morning. But I figured, why not? Because I can't sleep, I'll just do this, because yeah. So not sponsored. Yeah, I pulled the welder out, and I'm just gonna crank the tunes up, and actually I won't. No. But yeah, I pulled the welder out, and I will just throw a tack up front, a tack on the A pillar and a tack on the B pillar area. That way I can remove the vice grips, I'll lift the body up in the air, then I can get the pan underneath it, and I'll lower everything down and see kind of how it fits. So hopefully by, I'm gonna say 2 in the morning here, I'll probably have the body down on itself, and then I can clean the shop. Because that's one of the beauties about doing the YouTube thing. You can't have a dirty, filthy area all the time. So it's nice to get it cleaned and reset pretty much every video, because we make a mess in here. But anyways, yep. 12 o'clock at night. I figured why not, you know. So, let's see how it goes.
We have the heater channel just sitting in place using vice grips. Throwing a few tack welds on it will allow me to remove the vice grips so I can actually align the pan with the body and not have the vice grips in my way.
Alright, I tacked it in, but I'm gonna doubt it's in the right spot just because of all the great luck I've been having on this car. But now I can essentially just ratchet the front up because it's always been connected to the ceiling. And the back is actually connected to the engine hoist still. So I can just hoist it up, pull the stands out, and then slide the pan underneath. If I give you a better view here. Pretty simple setup. I'm just gonna move the welder out of the way, lift this up, pull the stands out, slide this under, see how it actually lines up, because I pulled the vice grips off, and I don't know, I just threw a little tack in here and a little tack here, 2 spots that are super easy to cut just in case. But as you can see, we've got our patch welded in there, just tacked in. We've still got a bunch of work to do on it. And we've got the heater channel tacked in place. And the firewall now tacked in place. So, yeah, let's lift it up and slide the pan underneath. I'm gonna be quiet because it's late. But I've got the rear up in the air, took the stand out now. I'm going to ratchet the front up quietly, take the stand out, and slide the pan over. Now that I've finally got it in the air, it's time to bring the pan underneath and see how it fits, I guess. It's right in front of you guys. So because the way the engine hoist is sitting at the back, it's pretty hard to roll this in. You've got to kind of do it on a 45 and then slide it back into place and wiggle a million times. So this is going to take some time. Yeah, buddy. Just barely. I will say, that is one great thing about having a nice set of like dolly wheels for the pan when you're doing this. It's so nice having a nice set because they slide nice. You can just easily push the pan around by yourself. It makes it really nice to push the pan around. Before I had an older set and it was a nightmare to move the pan. Ever since upgrading, it's like just feels like nothing. Push it around. Okay, so right now I've got it sitting over top of the pan, and I'm roughly going to line it up with the firewall bolts to the top hat bolts. That's where it bolts up to the firewall. And this is where the body bolts up to the pan right here. So I've got to line all 4 corners up kind of like that. But I'm going to put it down first just a little bit and see where we're at once I get it a little bit closer.
Like I said before, this all seems straightforward, but it's a lot of messing around to get the body sitting correctly, especially when you're by yourself.
Back is seated pretty nicely. Everything about the back looks real alright. I'm good with that for now, for a minute. But the front, it won't drop down. See, I've got a bit of a gap there. The gap on the top hat, if you can see there. The gap on the top hat is not correct at all. So I was hoping the old, wiggle technique would work, but it's not working. So I'm gonna have to just keep lifting it up and readjusting it and hoping I can figure out. I think it's just twisted a little bit. We are laying on the ground. Watch this. Okay, I don't know if you can see here, but we've got the flashlight shining from below, and it's shining through the holes in the pan onto the heater channel, and we can just see it because there's a little tiny, like, not even finger width gap, but anyways, see where it's lit up right on the heater channel hole, right on the heater channel hole, right on the heater channel hole. We can do this the whole way. See, right on the hole, right on the hole, right on the hole. These are bang on, right on the hole. Yeah, they're bang on. That's beautiful. So the only bolts I got to worry about are up here, the main ones. But I mean, they look pretty darn close. Man, some good news is nice for once in a while. Holy moly. So all the heater channel bolts line up with the pan. The main bolts at the top of the top hat there that connect to the heater channel, they're a little bit off, but I will be able to make it work just by a bit of trimming. So well worth it, because it's like 1:30 in the morning on Sunday, and I have work tomorrow just like everybody else, but I wanted to figure out if this would fit. So it looks like this heater channel is going to work on the passenger side. Now I guess I can clean up the garage a little bit nicer, and then I've got to lift it back out, and it's time to do the well, time to make precise fitments. So we might have to do a little bit of cutting, and then we've got to actually weld the heater channel, the firewall in, and move on to the driver's side. So funny that after we cut the heater channel to fit in the car on the front side, it was short on the body on the back side. So it was actually too long, like an inch too long on the pan on the front side. Once we cut that inch off, it was an inch short on the back side of the body. So I don't know, these have to be for different years, but we're gonna make it work, obviously, and we're gonna make it look good. So this video really wasn't this day and a half, 2 days, whatever it was. We worked all day Saturday, and then I worked Sunday night on the car, but they didn't really go the best, but any sort of progression is good. We're headed in the right direction, so we'll just keep trucking. I will see you in the next one.